Hi everybody, this is Doug at Willie Nellie's. We're going to be the second part of the Delta Sport 250 construction videos. We're going to pretty much wrap it up this time. I'm not going to have the airplane covered and do final assembly in this one, our flight. We need to finish showing you guys how to put the rudders on and some basic things that need to be done so you can fly it, because a bunch of you have got your kits already, so we want to cover some finer points. We're going to go rather quickly. It'll probably be a fairly short video, but the first thing we need to talk about is sanding. You're going to have to do a little bit of sanding on these things. The leading edges, I made a drawing. We need to make sure we round the leading edge. The trailing edge needs to be tapered down to 1/8 of an inch. And the reason that is for aerodynamics and the fact that the elevon is 1/8 inch. And when we combine those two, we get a nice smooth airflow over there and a little bit lighter on the tail end of the aircraft. So you only need to sand the trailing edge of the wing down 1/32 on top and 1/32 on bottom, and that'll make up your 1/16 difference. So it doesn't take a whole lot really, or a whole lot of time. So do that before you cover the wing. Okay, and now from here on out, we're going to pretend like the wing is covered. And we're going to show you how to put the tail fins on. Your tail fin sheets will be on a sheet just like this. There's 2 of them, the left and the right. And then, oops, I bumped the camera. This right here is important. This sets your angle on your vertical fins. So keep that. All right, let's see. I'm making sure it's in good view here. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is use a square. If you don't have one, you could take a ruler. I don't have a ruler in front of me. And go use your fuselage side to draw your line. I just had a square handy, so that's what I'm going to use. And you're going to want to draw a line. So make my pen work. Right down the side here. And that's going to be your alignment mark for your vertical fins. And let's see here. And I thought I was prepared. Need a sanding block. Here we go. Okay, I can't cut the angle in the vertical fin for you, so you have to sand that angle in. Let's find, if you use, now keep in mind we're pretending that this is already covered. So let's see here. You'll have that give you an idea. You want to keep it lined up on your alignment mark that you made. And then your 50 degrees will set your angle. And you want to sand that angle into these fins. So you use the 50 degrees to set it, sand the angle in it, trim your covering before you glue this on. Otherwise, it's not going to stick good at all. It will come off. You will notice that the fin does come forward of your fuselage top just a little bit. That's the way it's supposed to be. It strengthens that leading edge and makes it real nice and strong, lasts a long time. Okay, so now we're going to pretend that both of your fins are on. You want to cover your fins before you glue them on. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get into this inside corner. So make sure you do that. All right, so I made a list of what to talk about that I thought was important. So, okay, the elevons. The elevons are real easy. They come in a sheet. It looks like this. That's your left and right one. Not much to do to them except pop out the lightning holes. You can sand just a little bit of a taper to them if you like. The sharper the leading edge, the more efficient it is. But getting it down to just leaving it like it is and sanding it smooth works really well. If you're wanting to do all-out speed and high performance, then yeah, by all means taper it as sharply as you can. Okay. Let's see. We will touch on the motor installation. Your kit comes with one of our lifetime warranty motor mounts. It's real easy to install these. If you use one of the Racer Star motors that we sell, they come with the correct length screws. Always make sure that the screw does not go so far through that it contacts the coils on the motor, or you'll short it out and you won't be happy. It just won't work right. Another point, you always want to use some kind of thread locker on the screw that you use to mount the motor, because if you don't, they will come loose. You can balance your props as smooth as silk, doesn't matter, they will eventually come loose. So just put a tiny drop. We're going to start carrying the Bob Smith variety of thread lockers. We like to use blue. It's a medium strength. It's not permanent, so if you ever want to take your motor off, or you somehow manage to break one of our motor mounts, you can get the screw out to replace it. If you use one of our 3D printed motor mounts, it's very, very important that you use the thread locker to mount the motor onto the end of the little black widow there, because the screws, use the same length screws, but they go way up in there. So like I said, use the thread locker. You won't have to worry about it. And the motor mount to the firewall, very straightforward. Included in your kit are the 256 screws. You just line it up. The laser already got the holes exactly where they need to be. Screw it on. You can run your motor wires. I usually run them through the bottom hole. That keeps them out of the way. And then as soon as they come through, I run them to the side. And a lot of times I'll use some hot glue just to keep them down and from moving around. Okay, so motor install. The electronics couldn't be much easier. Let's see. Oh, I already had the receiver sitting in there. On mine that we've been building and flying, we put the receiver at the back. Nothing goes right here, so it's a good place for your antennas to stick through. You can even point one up like they're supposed to be. The ESC, I like to put just immediately forward of the receiver, and you can run your motor and motor connections there. It helps if you shorten some of these long wires. It's pretty easy to do, and then you don't have as much to deal with inside this bay. But this bay, you're not going to have any battery in. It's too far back. So all you're going to have is your receiver and your ESC, unless you're flying glow, and then in that case all you have is your receiver and possibly your battery, depending upon what motor and how much it weighs. But your battery, let me grab the battery real quick. Your battery will fit up in this area, this front bay, and as you can see, you have quite a bit of range that you can adjust this thing. And if you use a 4-cell, you're probably going to have it as far back as possible because of the weight. But the 3-cell, we're generally finding it's in that area somewhere. Depending on how you finish it and how much you sand, it's going to affect where it goes. Real simple installation. We only have 2 servos to worry about. I'll show you how those go next. Let's see. On all of ours, we've been using the ES 9051, which is the 5-gram Emax. They work really good, really good. Very happy with those. Okay. So you're going to run your wire underneath here. You're going to run it through that air hole, and then you can plug it into your receiver. Would have helped if I would have got a little pair of needle nose, but I can get a hold of it here. Sometimes these little parts are a little fiddly, but I just got done having a cup of coffee, so I'm a little jittery. That doesn't help any. But the servos will mount just like that. Now on your plywood sheet that I showed you in the first video are your servo rails. We didn't make these a certain size because you can use 9-gram servos. I wouldn't recommend it because of the weight, but if that's all you have, it shouldn't be any issue. You might have to add just a little bit of nose weight to get balance. But once you have your servo in place, you need to center these up and make sure you'll have clearance for your vertical fins. I made sure, but I didn't make them too long. And then once you have those, you can mark your covering, cut your covering off where you're going to glue your servo rails on. Glue your servo rails in, screw your servo down, and you'll be good to go. A little tip on your servos is on these little airplanes with these little servos, one of the common complaints is about centering and resolution. The best way you can get performance out of your servo, especially these little ones, is always use the inner hole on your servo arm, because it use the inner hole on your servo arm and your outer hole on your control horn, and that's the best way you're going to get your centering. It's gonna come back pretty darn close every time. Let's see. So that's the servo arms will go out towards the vertical fins. There's plenty of clearance there because of the angle. And then I've had a lot of questions about how we do our push rods. Let's see if I can get this in frame. In your kit are 2 push rods that look like this, and 2 pieces of heat shrink. Slide the heat shrink on there, and then what you have is an adjustable length push rod, and once you get it to the length you want, shrink down the shrink tubing first, and then put a drop of thin CA on each side. Do not put the thin CA in first, because when you go to heat the heat shrink, it catches the CA on fire. Ask me how I know. So you do that, and it's stronger than the torque than the servo can put out by about 4 times. So you don't have to worry about it pulling apart. It works really good. You might want to scuff up the wire just a little bit with Scotch-Brite or a piece of sandpaper. Clean it with some alcohol or acetone or something. But all of our kits have this type of setup for the ailerons, the elevators, rudders. It works really good. It's simple and it's really light. You should try it. You'd like it. Okay, so we covered. Okay, the center of gravity is measured from the trailing edge of the wing. I really need a ruler. The center of gravity for starting out, highly recommend 7.5 inches. So you want to measure from the trailing edge of the wing, not the trailing edge of the elevon. And you want to measure up 7.5 inches. What I do after I cover it is I put a little C of G mark with a Sharpie on there and balance it that way. That way I always know. And it's real simple. Real simple to balance. Once you have everything in there, you put one finger on either side of that and it should sit level. And all you'll have to do is adjust your battery forward or back just a little bit. You shouldn't have to add any weight as long as you build it like we're recommending. So the 7.5 inches forward is what we consider beginner center of gravity and what we recommend for first flights. I've flown ours at 7 inches from the trailing edge, and that's where it's starting to get a little unstable. So try, at very minimum, keep it forward of 7 inches. 7.25 seems to be a sweet spot for really good performance and aerobatics, but it's a lot more sensitive at 7.25. 7.5 inches is a real good place to start out. Be real stable for you, easier to control, but that's what we recommend for center of gravity. Elevons for travel, I made another drawing. We recommend 0.35 inches up and 0.35 inches down. For those that like fractions, that's a little less than 3/8. So keep it just a little under 3/8 and you'll be fine. Now those are max deflections that we recommend. You can go a little bit less, but and you want to set this with using your elevator. Don't use your ailerons to set the throws, because when you pull full up, you want the 0.35, but you still want to have some aileron deflection. And if you use the elevator to set these initial throws, you'll still have that little bit of extra aileron with the full up or full down. So that's what we recommend. 0.35 up, 0.35 down, equal both ways. All right, we got center of gravity covered. Flight deflections. Oh, if this was really covered, we would be in pretty good shape. We would be ready to fly. One thing I forgot in the last video was you'll see this airfoil shaped piece. It's simply just for decoration. It's a fake canopy. You can put it anywhere along here you want. I've seen one guy put it towards the back here, and it looked really cool. But play with it, make it your own. One thing about Deltas is they like to roll really fast. Don't try to do slow rolls or it'll really fall out. There's no fuselage there to help support it when it's going through the roll. So try to keep your rolls fairly fast. And loops, you want to make them bigger. Don't try to loop really tight, because when you do, it'll want to twist out. It goes into an accelerated stall and it'll flop right out. and it's actually kind of fun to do. It's kind of a fun maneuver to do, but make sure you have a little bit of altitude to recover, because the first time you do it, it kind of catches you by surprise. But other than that, I think we're good to go. If you guys have any questions at all, please post them. And please like and subscribe to our video channel. The more likes and more subscribes we get, the more videos we'll do. It's simple as that. If we don't get any likes, we don't get any subscribes, we're not near as motivated to do videos. So please keep watching and ask questions. We'll be happy to do another video to answer any questions we get. So until the meantime, have fun and God bless.